that stuff or whatever, you know.
Okay.
And
I'll do the best I can.
tell maybe some story that he told you about how he came down or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
Maybe his parents told him or something like this, you know. That if you can think of it, you know.
Yeah.
We're kind of putting you on the spot here, you know. Probably if
Okay.
you was at home, you could probably think of a lot of stuff. But right now, we're putting you on the spot, and you have to do it at a quick notice. But
Yeah.
if you can think of anything, okay, let's start off. Are we on now?
Okay, we're on now.
Okay.
Let me just introduce it.
Okay.
I'm Bill Welge for the Oklahoma Historical Society. This is September the 3rd, 1988, an interview with
Eliza Reed.
Eliza Reed at the Wyandotte Tribal Complex in Wyandotte, Oklahoma. Okay, Mrs. Reed, I need your full given name and date of birth.
Give me your full given name and your date of birth.
Mine.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I was born 1899, October the 8th.
Who are you?
I was
What's your
born
name?
October the 8th.
What's your name?
My name, Eliza Bland.
Eliza Bland.
What was her maiden name?
My
that was her
name now is Reed.
Oh, okay. What were your parents' names?
What was your parents' names?
John Bland and Lula Armsby.
And
That was my father and mother.
when were they born?
Do you know when they were born? What was the day of their birth?
Papa was born February 24th. I think he was well, in 41 he was he liked from the date of 41 till the 24th of February of being 75 years old.
Okay, so that would have put it back.
That'd have been 40-some years ago.
He would have been born about the 1870s or late 1860s.
He was born 1860 something, because
And when was your mother born?
When was your mother born?
She was born June the 17th, 1872.
Okay, so he was probably older than she was. Where was they born at? Where was Grandpa Bland and Grandma Bland born at?
Where they went,
Where were they born at? Do you know? Do you know where they was born?
where was Grandpa born?
when was Grandpa born?
Where?
Where? He was in Kansas.
Okay.
And same for your grandmother or your mother?
Mama was born in Nebraska.
Nebraska.
Okay. And were both of them Wyandottes?
No.
They wasn't both Wyandottes, were they? Just Grandpa
No,
Bland.
just Papa.
Okay.
And what degree of Indian blood was her father?
What degree of Indian blood was Grandpa Bland?
Huh?
What degree of Indian blood was Grandpa Bland? How much Indian was he?
Well,
He was half.
the last account I had on it, he was a fourth.
No.
But he always said that he was only eighth.
Yes.
She's got mixed there.
Does she know the names of their parents?
Do you know the names of their parents? Do you know the names of their parents?
Papa's mother's name was the same as mine, Eliza. And his father was John.
John Bland.
And my mother, her name was Armsby. And
What was her mother's name?
McManus.
McManus?
McManus.
What was her first name, Mom?
Jane.
Jane.
Jane McManus.
Jane
Jane McManus.
And what was her grandfather's name?
What was Grandpa's father's name?
John.
Same as Grandpa's?
Yeah.
All right. What was his mother's name?
Papa's mother,
Yeah.
same as mine.
Eliza.
Okay, what he was wanting to know is Grandma Bland, what was her dad's name?
Her dad, her father,
Mm-hmm.
his name was Ephraim.
Ephraim.
Ephraim Armsby.
Ephraim Armstead.
When were her parents married?
When was your parents married? You know their married date?
No, I don't. I don't know the date that they were married now.
Let's see, she's
When now was she born? Mrs. Reed, was she born here in Wyandotte?
Were you born here in Wyandotte area, or was you up in Kansas City?
no, she's in Indian
No,
Territory down in
I was
here.
born in the Indian Territory, now Oklahoma.
In Oklahoma, Indian Territory, in Oklahoma, so it'll be here.
Okay. Ask her what are the earliest memories that she has of her growing up in Indian Territory.
Papa had an allotment, and there was a house built on it, and they moved in there.
Mm-hmm. What were some of your earliest memories of childhood about Indian country here?
Well, my father was one time a policeman, and his duty was to, the agent would call him in and he'd go and get boys to run off from the mission.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that, if I'm not mistaken, he helped improve the spot where the mission was. He cleared it all.
Mm-hmm.
But Mama was just a housewife.
Mm-hmm. What were some of your childhood experiences, living in this area? What was some of your childhood experiences living in this area? Some of the things you can recall.
Well, I went to school, to the white man's school.
Yes.
And that's where I got my education.
How many years?
And I helped Papa grow his vegetables and things on the farm.
By horse?
Huh?
By horse? He grew them with horse and plow? Did he use a horse and a plow to do it with?
Did you plow with a horse? Mule?
Yeah, I didn't drive the horse, I used the hoe.
Yeah.
But Papa used the horses.
How many years of education did you receive?
I was ready for high school.
Ready for high school.
8th grade.
But Papa, he always wanted his kids at home, and he wouldn't let me go to high school away from home.
Were there any? Did she attend any Indian school or mission school at all when she was going of school age?
Did you attend any Indian mission or Indian school while you was growing up? Any?
I didn't go to Indian school.
You just went
at
to
all.
okay.
No, I just went to the white
No, we only was the only one went to
people
Indian school.
school.
High school.
Ask if her parents did.
Did any of your did your parents go to any of the Indian schools or anything?
Yes, Papa used to go to that mission.
I see.
He went to the mission when he was a child.
Ask when her parents died. Yeah, basically just ask what other activities her parents, especially her father, did up until his death.
What kind of things did Grandpa Bland do up to his death? Was he active in any kind of organizations, or was he active in the school, or active?
He went to the Indian police. He'd take boys home that run off. And he farmed his own place.
He's a farmer. Grandpa Bland was a farmer.
When did Mrs. Reed marry? And
When did you marry?
Who?
When did you first become married?
1919.
19 and 90.
And what was her husband's name?
What was your husband's name then?
William Earl Martin.
William Earl Martin. Okay.
I think she was married twice.
Mhm.
Okay. How long did that marriage last?
How long did that marriage last?
Are
10 years.
10 years.
Were there any children?
Were there any children in that marriage?
Yeah, I had 4.
4.
How many boys and girls?
How many?
Name them.
How many boys and girls, and name them, would you?
My oldest girl was Lula Margaret.
Mhm.
And my oldest boy was James Bland Martin. And my middle girl was Marie. And the baby was Billy Joe.
Billy Joe was
Billy Joe.
And when did she marry the second time? What, did her first husband die, or were they divorced?
No, there's been
Okay. Your first husband and you were divorced, right? And then you married
Yes.
Mr. Reed.
I was divorced when I married Mr. Reed.
When did she marry Mr. Reed?
When did you marry Mr. Reed? When did you and Mr. Reed marry?
1930.
19 and 30.
And is that ask his full name and when he was born and all?
What was his full name and when was he born and all that?
Marion Franklin was his name. And
September 24th, 71.
September the 24th of 71.
he was September 24th.
Okay. When did he die?
He died in 64.
64.
So he was in his 90s when he died.
Mm-hmm.
He was in his 90s. How old was he when he died?
Huh?
How old was Mr. Reed when he died?
93.
93.
How many children did they have?
How many children did?
We didn't have any
Okay.
children.
Okay. What activities has Mrs. Reed been involved with as far as when she finished her schooling? Has she been a housewife, or what has she done?
Okay. When you finished your schooling, the 8th grade, you lived at home and helped the family, and then after you became married, you was just a housewife. Is that right?
Yes, I was just a housewife.
Okay.
She was a nurse aide for years after Daddy and her separated. And before she got married the first time.
Okay.
What is what is her blood degree?
What is your blood degree? What is your blood degree? How much Indian are you?
Well, I always thought I was the 16th.
I believe you are.
I was registered as.
Some of the things that happened back then, they'd say, well, if you'll change your blood degree, why, we'll do this for you and stuff. And that's what happened a lot of times, But anyway, was you proud to be an Indian, or was you ashamed of it when you was smaller?
No, I accepted it.
Yes.
What was her relations with other, especially in the white school, when she went to school? Did she have any trouble with the white kids in the school because she was Indian?
Okay, whenever you was in school, whenever you was in school, going to school, back when you was a young child, did you have any trouble with the other kids that were white and the Indians and all that?
Sometimes they'd call us black Indians, but not often.
When everybody
We got
around
along
here is
very
an Indian.
well. But sometimes some of the kids would call us black Indians.
Does she remember the name of the school that she went to?
What was the name of the school that you went to?
Long,
Long School.
Where is it?
Was it a country school?
yes.
Was it at up by the Long
Yeah.
Church? Okay, I know.
Log house.
It was
It stood till
a long schoolhouse.
it was about 1950. Yeah, in the 50s or 60s when they tore it down.
can she recall when she was going to school some of her teachers and what she was taught? I mean, I imagine they taught her the usual, but is there any things that she would remember about school that impressed her?
Whenever you was going to school, can you remember some of your teachers' names and some of the things they may have taught you that impressed you or anything like that?
Yes, there was Lee Davis and Miss Carrie Boyd and Carrie Boyd, Oscar Utter and Johnny. Well, I can't think of that one's name.
What were some of the memorable parts of going to school that you learned and all that? What were some of the things you put out of your mind?
I was pretty good in history. And I studied arithmetic, reading, language, and agriculture.
They used to put on a lot of plays for, you know, tracks, and she liked to go to them. She liked to be in.
On the agriculture, I'm interested in when her interest in agriculture, did that help her on the farm with helping her parents?
You said you was interested in agriculture. You learned agriculture. Did that help you on the farm with Grandpa Bland and them, or?
Yes, I was Mama's girl and Papa's boy.
Oh, I see.
How many brothers and sisters did she have?
How many brothers and sisters did you have?
I had 4 sisters. My brother died when he was 9 days old.
I see. Can you name your brothers and sisters?
My brother's name was Robert, and I had one sister named Edna, and the ones that lived was Nora Jane, and the next one was me.
You was the next to the oldest in the stable.
I was, yes, I was next to the oldest, and then it was Margaret, and Jeanette Alma, and Emily Catherine.
Ask her, her father would not have been old enough to be in the Civil War, but maybe her grandfathers might have been. Ask if any of them were in the Civil War.
Was any of your Grandpa Bland wasn't in the Civil War, but was his grandpa in the Civil War? Did they say anything about that or anything about the Civil War times? Did they relate back to them whenever you was a child, telling you stories of it or something, maybe?
Yes, they talked quite a bit about it.
What were some of the stories they told you about it? Can you remember anything?
They talked about Papa went to the mission school and he didn't like it. And Mama was educated in Nebraska.
Okay, but Grandpa Bland and maybe his dad, did they go to the Civil War? Did they fight in the war, in the Civil War or something?
No.
They didn't fight in it?
Papa was too young to go to the war. And his father, I don't think he ever went to war.
Okay.
Does she recall any stories that while growing up in Kansas and Nebraska of having any problems with other Indian tribes or problems with the whites coming in and encroaching on their lands?
While you was growing up, did you ever have, while you was growing up as a child, did you remember any of the other Indian tribes coming in and trying to take over the land, or a white doing it or anything like that?
No, not that I remember of.
Her experiences on the farm, what kind of crops did they raise?
He and my mother lived on the same place for 20 years.
the place where he lived and the crops that he grew. What kind of crops did he grow in this ground?
Yeah.
What kind of crops did they grow? What kind of different?
Corn, oats, and some wheat.
And they done all this by means of horse, right? Plowing with a horse and all that stuff.
We did, yes, yes. Papa had a mule team mostly when I grew up, but formerly he had horses.
Did they have any covered wagons or buggies for transportation?
Did you have covered wagons or buggies for transportation? Is that how you got to and from town and all that?
We had a buggy
Yes.
and a wagon and a mule team.
That's what pulled the wagons?
Yeah.
What you used, the mule?
What kind of?
He did have horses at first. Then he bought him a mule team.
Does you remember how much it might have cost to buy a mule team?
Do you remember how much it cost to buy that mule team, or did you remember them talking about it or anything?
$100.
$100. I'll bet.
That's quite a lot of money back
You
then.
kidding.
What kind of other, did they raise any stock animals?
Did you raise any other type animals? Cows, pigs, horses?
Yes. We had milk cows and stock cows.
Let's see.
And we had swine, ducks, geese,
Chickens?
chickens, and geese, guineas, turkeys.
Ask how large the farm was.
How large was the farm? How many acres?
20 acres.
20 acres.
He lived there.
It's getting about, well, yeah, let's take after.
Does she remember any of how much the farm might have produced as far as crops and so forth? How large it was as far as production, and did that help in their income besides his having a job at the Indian
Okay.
place?
Whenever he would raise these crops on the farm, did they help as far as income for the family, or
Yes.
how big the crops were brought off from? Do you know?
Well, he had a 9-acre field of corn every year,
9-acre field of corn.
and then he had some smaller patches of corn, and he had oats, about 6 or 8, and he at one time put in wheat, and he had potatoes, all kind of vegetables.
How much do you sell that corn for?
Do you remember how much he sold his corn for and all that at the market?
Well, he sold some for 98 cents. And then corn got cheap, and he got 20 cents a bushel.
Is this where my dad learned how to do all his farming and stuff from your dad? Is this where my dad learned how to do all this farming from your dad?
Yeah.
My dad, Bert Bland?
Yeah.
Is that where he learned how to farm from your folks?
Well, no, Bert was, I was married when Bert began to farm.
Oh yeah?
Mom, did Bert learn how to farm from Grandpa? Did Grandpa teach Bert how to farm?
Oh, yes. Bert helped Papa farm and learned how to manage.
Bert farmed it after he got older.
And when Papa passed away, they gave the mules and the machinery to Bert.
How did she work the fields? I know she said she used a hoe, but kind of give an example of what her day was like on the farm.
Okay, when you had to go out to the farm to work, you know, when you had to go out to the pasture to work the crops and stuff, you said you used a hoe. How was your day? What did you do? Hoe all day long, or?
All day long. From 7 o'clock in the morning till noon, and back in the field at 1 and to 6:30.
6:30, long days.
And I cut weeds out of the corn.
You cut weeds, huh?
Did she have any other help? Did any of her sisters help?
Did any of your other sisters help whenever you was doing this, or was you by yourself, or?
Well, Mama and me did the hoeing. And one year, she used the team and plowed the corn, and Papa helped hoe.
Mm-hmm. You guys traded off then one year. Did you ever use
Yes.
the team? Did you ever use the team and they hoed?
Huh?
Did you ever use the team and they hoed, or
No, I didn't.
you hoed all the time, huh?
I hoed all the time. Mama used the team one year, and Papa helped me hoe. But I didn't use the team.
Was Grandpa Bland real strict of disciplinary person, or
Huh?
was Grandpa Bland real strict as far as discipline?
Yes, he was.
Was he?
They both were.
What church did they attend?
What church did they attend back then? What church did they attend?
Well, before they died, they full gospel, I think, is what they were baptized into.
Okay.
Does she recall if the home that she grew up on the farm was either a log or a frame home?
The house that you grew up in, was it a log house or was it a framed house?
Well, part of my life it was in a log house, and then Papa built a house. Cyclone blew the log house away.
Did it have a floor in it? What kind of floor did it have in it? Wood floor or dirt?
It had a sycamore floor.
Sycamore. Okay.
How big was it?
How big was the house? Do you remember?
Oh, before the cyclone blew the kitchen away, it was about 6 feet.
Hmm.
But I don't know how the kitchen was. It blew away when I was quite young.
Was she anywhere near the house when the cyclone hit?
Were you near the house when the cyclone hit, or where was you when the cyclone hit? You remember anything about it?
It was in a house.
You was in the house?
Yes.
Oh.
Where was you at when the cyclone hit?
Huh?
Where was you at when the cyclone hit?
I run and got under a curtain that Mama had in the living room, and she had to hunt me up.
Because no man stayed with him had Margaret and Jeanette on his lap.
I'll be.
Well, what was her reaction, or that must have been a scary thing to see a cyclone barreling down. See if she can recall anything about it.
That must have been pretty scary. Do you remember seeing that cyclone coming, or you just, or?
Mama saw the cloud a coming, and she called to Papa's cousin. He was an old man, and she didn't hear him close the window. And she stepped up into the living room to close it herself, and just as she stepped up into the living room, the kitchen went away.
Was anybody hurt?
Away.
Was anybody hurt in the tornado?
No, was nobody hurt.
Well, that's unfortunate. What kind of furnishings did the house have?
What kind of furniture and tables and chairs and stuff like that did you guys have in the house?
Yes, we had a dining table and a set of chairs, and Papa bought Mama a new bedstead on her birthday.
Was any of the furniture homemade?
Was any of the furniture homemade? Did they make the furniture homemade, or?
Yes, some of we had a cupboard that was homemade, but that's about all.
Did she help make soap or any other essentials that around the house when they, you know, because they had to be pretty self-efficient there.
Did you have to make your own soap and stuff to wash with when you was home, or
Mama made our soap.
Does she recall the recipe?
do you recall the recipe to make that soap? Do you know what the recipe was that she used to make the soap or anything?
No, not exactly. I know she dissolved lye in hot water, and that's about all I know about it. I was young when she did that.
Did she help like churn butter or make cheese or anything like that?
How about churning butter or making cheese or?
Oh, Mama always churned her own butter.
You never did do none of that? You never had to do?
I had to.
Yes.
I had to punch that old dasher up and down.
Did you?
Yeah,
How long would it take?
How long would it take to make that butter?
Well, sometimes it wouldn't take very long, and sometimes it took quite a while, according to the weather.
How'd you do your washing, stuff like that?
On the washboard.
On the washboard, huh?
Did they make any lard?
Did you guys make lard? Did you have your own lard, or?
Yeah, when Papa butchered, Mama rendered the lard.
What other things did she assist her mother in around the house?
What other little jobs did you have to help around the house besides hoeing in the fields and?
Well, I had to help tend the garden.
You had a garden besides your patch out in the
Yes.
pasture? I see.
We raised our own vegetables. Potatoes, beans, cabbage.
Where did you get the plants to raise that stuff? You know, did you keep it from year to year? Or?
Mom always sowed the seed and raised the cabbage and beans, and she did it all herself.
What were some of her favorite recipes that her mother made as far as dishes?
What were some of your favorite recipes that your mom made that you loved? You know, like I know what I loved. My mom make was a big chocolate cake or something like that. What were some of the recipes that you liked?
Oh, well, she'd make a gingerbread most awful good,
Okay.
and she'd make chocolate cake or coconut, sometimes caramel. Papa liked the gingerbread the best.
How often did they go to town for supplies?
How often did you go to town for supplies?
Generally once a week
Once a week.
on Saturday.
You started to say that.
Yeah. Where did they have to go to get their supplies?
What town did you have to go to get your supplies? Where did you go get your supplies at?
We went to Wyandotte, and if we was busy, we'd go up to Otway. And we used to go to Seneca too for larger supplies.
There used to be a truck come on, no truck but a wagon come along with stuff on, and you could buy it off of this wagon.
How long would it take to get to town by wagon?
From the house that you lived in, how long did it take to get to town in a wagon?
Oh, about 3 miles to Wyandotte, and 2 or 3 miles to Otway.
Jim, we're ready to go.
Okay.
I don't know how many miles it was to Seneca.
How long did it take? Probably 30 minutes or an hour or 2 hours?
Oh, it wouldn't take more than 2 hours to go to Wyandotte.
We're gonna have to cut this one. Thank you. Thank you very much.
What do we want to continue?
We'll just have to talk and see.
Because I'm sure she's got a lot more. We've only gone through half the questions here, and as long as
if she's up to it, well, we can see
Okay.
how it is after the meeting, you know, and everything.
well, yeah, we don't want to detain the
Somebody
meeting.
she's forgetting sometimes.
Well, sure.
Can't remember
Let me
the
get
dates.
this wheelchair and bring it right here and we start pushing it out. Right here.
Well, I'll just leave everything in here, and after the meeting, I will need her to sign
Okay.
this, so we have a release form. Can she do that right now? Or?
Yeah.
Have a seat right in there.
Mama, here. Mama. Sign your name.
This is just a release form, so we can use her interview at some point, you know, for people who want to do
Sign your name.
research. Is that pen going to write?
Here. Bear down on it, Mom. Here. Bear down on it.
Shame a person has to get old, you know.
Well, she knows a lot of good information.
She had eye
She's a strong
surgery.
mind, doesn't she?
So she had eye surgery. She didn't. Nobody waited on her.
Oh,
She
really?
right down. I could.
Have her.
I got-
Can you take her out?
Yeah.
And I need to get on out there.
Are you meeting under the arbor out there?
Yeah.
I thought I'd come out and take some pictures of that.
Yes. Yeah, I've got the locks on, so.
Okay.
And which department you with?
Oklahoma Historical Society.
Historical Society. Les Kusher.
Bill Welge.
Bill, glad to meet you.
Glad to meet you.
So,
Yeah.
his service to you, give us a holler, whatever. And,
Okay. Well,
yeah, you're more than welcome to bring your camera and set up out there and take pictures of the meeting.
Okay. Well, I might even put a new tape in here and kind of videotape some of the meeting, you know, just for.
Be real fine.
Thank you very
Nice
much.
meeting you.